The hiatus was long. Our love for each other is longer.
Yeah,
Drew Gorman,
always.
Kyle Wright, Tyler Spalding in the building. Welcome to Leave It at the Table. It's been a little while. Happy to be back. Happy to have everybody watching, listening. Very important times coming up right now because we are about 24 hours away, I think exactly, give or take, from landfall for Hurricane Helene. Helene.
Yeah.
Helene. All right, but before we get to that, we're going to talk about my personal problems because my personal problems overflow everything that this storm is going to bring.
It is our show. So
It is our show.
I was gonna say it is your show, but then I'm like, wait, no, this is my show too.
Our show, Drew.
Our show.
This is our child. Our
Yes.
baby. It's 9 months this sat in Drew Gorman's belly while we were getting ready.
There's a site.
First of all, Tyler Spalding, you will have to come in on the mic, unfortunately. When I was talking about the expensive equipment earlier, like, that part is very expensive. You actually have to, like, diddy these mics in order to get any effect. So, Tyler Spalding, thank you for coming on today. Tell everybody a little bit about, like, your enthusiasm for meteorology, why you started getting into this. Full disclosure, not a meteorologist. Don't have the title, but I've known you for 12 years. You have been deep into the knowledge of this for a very long time, and full respect for you for that. I know Tyler Weatherman, Spalding, Powell, Frazier were the old taglines,
Yeah.
but just talk about why you got into falling in love with just like following all things weather.
Yeah, so here, let me adjust this.
Get in there.
I think it really started with the movie Twister. Twister was like one of the first movies that I could remember. Like, you know, when you're young, like you finally become conscious and you have a memory, like your memories start coming in. Twister was that. And so Twister got me into weather. And then what really kicked it into overdrive had to be Hurricane Ivan. So you guys remember Ivan from 2004.
Yeah, Pensacola, right?
Yep, rest in peace, Jason Kelly. Yeah, you remember
Whoa,
that?
holy
the
cow.
old meteorologist?
Yeah,
dude?
I know.
That was
R.I.P. Hamilton's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was bad. But anyway, you know, that was a record-breaking hurricane. I know as far as tornado production goes. So it was kind of the best of both worlds as somebody who watched Twister and somebody who loves hurricanes and weather. And the second that I got my driver's license, I've been hitting the blacktop, and so I love storm chasing. That's what I do. There's a certain knowledge that you have to have about weather, you know, so that way you're not caught off guard. I see Matt just said lake effect snow did it for me. Yeah, like up there in Buffalo, like around the Great Lakes. Yeah, I want to go up there and chase one of those one day. But anyway, love weather, love watching it. It's been something I've been doing for a long time, and you know, it's just what I love to do.
Some would say this is the only hurricane that's going to negatively impact the city of Tallahassee this year. So I see Jordan Gibbs sign on to the chat, Miami Hurricane fan. Got to keep it sports related. Obviously, Tyler's in the Miami Dolphins shirt, so big Florida State fan, big Miami Dolphins fan, much like myself. So we will talk through that pain today. But first, let's selfishly talk through my pain, boys. My emotional support group, because good God Almighty, a lot's happened since our last episode, Drew.
By golly, we're champions.
By golly. So Wednesday, September 11th, Dawson Gorman came into the studio, probably for the last time. I'm not going to lie to you, because the chain of events that Dawson Gorman stepping into the studio set off has negatively impacted my life in a way that I can't.
Shouts out my brother, baby.
Liam Fisher as well. Liam as well. Like both of those. I don't know if it's a combination of those guys or if it's one of those guys individually.
It's because you didn't finish the peanut butter and tuna.
Yeah, it has to be.
Oh,
I mean, he yacked in my studio and then yacked on my life.
He yacked sniffing it.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah. That was a great night. That was our last episode. Well, woke up on the morning of September 12th to a post. Shout out to Josie on the Go. She does a fantastic job. If you don't follow Josie on the Go, I will give her a positive shout out today, because she does a great job at covering all things local from Gulf County all the way to Walton County. She does a fantastic job. So if you don't follow her, go check her out, Josie on the Go. She had a post from the Walton County Sheriff's Office that they had responded to a structure fire at Angelina's Pizzeria and Pasta at 2:30 a.m. You know, I'm just fresh awake. I'm not even had my coffee. I like wipe my eyes off. I'm like, oh, that's my job. So when you start seeing those posts, you're like, okay, dude, well, responding to a fire and a little bit of smoke doesn't necessarily mean disaster struck.
Yeah.
Disaster struck. The restaurant got torched. I think it estimated that it burned for like 2 hours before anybody even had a chance to respond. The entire restaurant engulfed. We're hoping to be open early 2025. I really do want to go back to that job. I loved it. Well, so the following Wednesday night, I was understandably, dude, like the week that I had, when you lose a job, the first job I've ever had that I truly, truly loved. Honestly, first job I've ever had that I truly fell in love with, and it's gone. And I'm like, went to bed, getting ready to go work a double that Friday, woke up the next morning without a job. It was like the hardest I've ever been hit by anything like that, right? So there was an emotional strain for a while, and then you start getting into like, all right, well, let's hit the ground running. I'm going to start putting in applications, pumping out resumes. I had a ton of
it was what, 8 interviews in like 3 days?
I had 8 interviews in 3 days. And then I pumped out, I think the total is up to about 40 applications / resumes that I've put in. So by the time Wednesday rolled around, Drew couldn't make it due to prior obligations. So I had Brian Bassett and David Hayes coming, and I was like, you know, let's just drink some beers and hang out. Like, even though like I enjoy doing this, it does require me to be mentally intact. Obviously, you see all the moving parts in the studio when you come in here for the first time. Like, you really do see, like, it ain't a turn stuff on and get to work kind of thing. It's a boom, got to click this. And I was like, look, I don't want to put my brain to work. So took a little mental break off. I was happy that night. The following night, Glizzy Boys, shout out to us, champions, undefeated rec league champs.
Tongues down, baby.
Tongues down. Championship game. We win the first game by the skin of our teeth, by the way, by a dude pulling his foot off the bag too early. Oh. We somehow win the first game. And we go to the championship game, and we play a team that we have no business beating. We're just going to be honest. We have no business beating this team. I come up in my first at bat. I think Drew's on second base, and somebody else is on third. And I hit a hard ball to the left side, and it blew up one of the best infielders in Bay County. Well, I didn't get to see that, though. Because as soon as I hit the ball, I go to take off out of the box. Foot slips. Kneecap does a right angle. I'm laying on the ground. My kneecap's looking at the pitcher's mound. I hit the ground. Kneecap slips back in. Now my knee's blown out. EMS gets called. I get loaded into the ambulance. Knee's the size of a soccer ball by the time I leave. I get put on oxygen in the ambulance. Taken to the hospital. You know, they're like, hey, yep, you blew out your knee. Everything sucks. Everything is awful. So now we're about a week into that. I had an appointment today. Shout out to Orthopedic Associates. Shout out to Dr. Noble over there. Those guys are great. They took care of me today. Got some confirmation on some things I didn't necessarily want to hear. So we don't have to go into detail with that because we have much more serious things to get into tonight. But maybe next week that could be something that we tackle, assuming that there's still a studio here next week. We're in Callaway. Should be okay. But let's get into Hurricane Helene. Sorry, Drew. How was your week? Sorry.
It's been okay. Had my bosses have been out of town. They were here Monday, and then I was on the way to work Tuesday morning. Got a phone call. I had called my boss, letting him know I was running a little bit behind because of all times to paint the lines on 98. They chose 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. So for like a 4-mile period. So I was running a little bit behind. So I called my boss. I was like, hey, I'm going to be there 15 minutes behind. No worries. And he tells me, he's like, well, just to let you know, I am currently on my way to Birmingham. My daughter went into emergency labor overnight. Her due date's not till the middle of October. So went into labor Monday night. No one had any clue. She had gone to the doctor like a couple days before, and the doctor was like, "Oh yeah, everything looks normal. Everything looks like it's going to be okay. You're right on time for right on time to be on your due date. And then Monday night, she's like, "Oh no, this baby's coming like now." So I've been
So somebody felt close to the pain that I went through last week, is what
yeah.
you're saying.
So well, I don't
Just
know
a
about
little
that.
bit.
I could. As bad as this was, there ain't no chance I'm pushing out a baby. Shout out to all the women out there.
Pushing the baby with that injury.
Yeah, well, this
also.
I pushed
could you imagine?
this right? My God, my God. Yeah, let's grab below the waist. Kendall. Oh, there's Kendall Spalding. That's your wife, right?
Yeah,
Shout
thanks
out.
for-
Wanna
thanks
give
for
your
watching.
Wifey a shout out there.
Yeah.
Hey, tell her you love her.
right.
I love you, Kendall.
I do love you, honey.
There you go. We like to make this as uncomfortable as possible. sometimes.
Absolutely.
If it's not uncomfortable, we're not doing our jobs.
That's right. We ain't leaving. What do you think we're leaving at the table, bro?
Everything.
That's right.
My dignity.
Anyway, sorry, Drew.
Well, that was the end of my story. It's just been
Oh,
it's
dude,
just been a
these
very
usually go for like an hour.
it's been a very busy couple of days for me, especially without the bosses being there. So, been a lot of fun. But it's nice to know that they can up and leave and have everything trusted to me.
That's right. Awesome.
Okay, that's the air tower. Maybe I'll unmute. Maybe I'll mute.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's gonna do anything, but no, that's your mic. We don't want to mute that.
Beautiful.
That's the most important one here coming up soon. All right, I promised everybody that we were going to talk about Hurricane Helene tonight. We obviously we are going to make some picks for this for some football this weekend. We are going to talk a little bit of football towards the end of the show, but we obviously want to get into what's pressing right now. Our friends over in Gulf and Franklin County, potentially us here in Bay County, but mostly our friends over in Gulf, Franklin, Leon, Wacola, and so on, are getting ready for a catastrophic day tomorrow, a catastrophic night. So I want to kind of talk about what we're expecting from this storm in the current landscape of everything.
Okay. Yeah.
So we obviously got, we're going to take you guys over here, and Tyler's going to kind of take us through and show us a little bit about what we're looking for, what are some of the signs, and then we'll get into bashing some social media meteorologists, because this is that's what I really want to do tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the platform is yours, Tyler. Let's talk some weather.
All right, perfect. Thank you guys for tuning in. Not for the actual stuff you came here for. Nobody cares about Kyle's leg.
No, all three of
Retweet.
them.
Yeah.
You got a child's arm there.
Yeah, no doubt. Awesome. So as you guys can see, this is the latest as of the 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time advisory. 85-mile-an-hour winds, 974 millibars. It's starting to drop. It's finally cleared the Yucatan Channel and starting to launch out into the Gulf of Mexico. We can switch over here, and it might be kind of hard to see, but you can see the outline. That's the western tip of Cuba. That's the Yucatan Channel, and then there's the Yucatan Peninsula. And so storms that can avoid hitting land here, the Yucatan, or hitting land in Cuba, that just have a straight shot into the Gulf, pretty much sky's the limit, especially when you're comparing it with the atmospheric conditions that are currently facing this thing. You know, it's pristine. We can actually refresh this, and we can see if they did another pass. So the Hurricane Hunters, that's their airplane. That obviously that's currently where they are. They're doing another pass. You could see that over the last roughly hour or so, the center has kind of made a northeasterly move. So that's going to be key for Bay County. We're going to have to look for that eastern jog, and so really the 85 west longitude. That's like Apalachicola. The longer the storm stays to the west of 85 west, that puts Bay County in play more. The quicker that it can move to the right-hand side of that 85 line, then that's when you start to see the impacts kind of lessen. But here's the deal. This thing's going to be a monster, right? Like it's going to be a huge storm. And so the impacts from the storm spread out far from the center. And so what I think happens is, and I know, if we look here at the cone, people get focused on the cone, right? But look, for example, at this orange-yellow field here. This orangish-yellow field, that's tropical storm force winds, right? So look how far it extends outside of the center of the cone, especially on the right-hand side, which is traditionally the side that's more impactful. But even on the west-hand side of the cone, look at how far it extends out. So the center line on this thing, they have it coming on shore near Liberty County, Wakulla County, and that's just going to be catastrophic for those people, because this thing is forecast to be a category 4 at landfall. That's 130 mile an hour. But
Sustained, by the way.
Sustained. That's not gust, right? And so I want to show you guys something here. I got to try to find it.
Yeah, we're reading. It's like a teleprompter in mini font from here.
Yeah,
Teleprompter for ants.
It's it's super small. But essentially, this is the forecast discussion, and I want to talk more about these forecast discussion whenever we get to that social meteorologist part.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But if you read this, they'll mention it here. I can't remember if it's this paragraph or this paragraph. Here it is right there. It should be noted that the anticipated strengthening is possible beyond 24 hours. So when the time that forecast discussion was written, landfall was right beyond 24 hours. So essentially what the National Hurricane Center is implying here is that the forecast point, they have to put a forecast point out every 12 hours, right? So at every 12 hours, there's a point in time where it says the wind's going to be this fast. Well, in that gap, landfall could occur in that 12-hour gap. So in order to get people not confused, they'll say, okay, the cone says this, but at landfall, it could be this because there's that gap. So the potential is even higher for this one to be more than 130 mile an hour. As we saw with Michael and Ian, and insert hurricane name here in the Gulf of Mexico. Anything that gets into the Gulf of Mexico, well organized already. Sky's the limit for rapid intensification. Shout out to Tropical Tidbits, by the way. Absolutely love this website.
Back over for you. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. The guy who runs this website, Dr. Levi Cowan, he actually went to school at FSU. That's where he got his doctorate degree, and he runs this website. And all of this stuff is free for people to use. So y'all go check it out. But this is where you can find everything. You can look at the current storm. You can look at the satellite, the spaghetti plots. Like when you see insert social meteorologist here sharing the spaghetti models, they're getting it from this website. And so there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes instead of just reading the lines. But we can get more into that later. I'll end the Helene segment with two things here. We'll look at the cone one more time. As you can see, the eastern half of Bay County is still, as of this moment, still in the left-hand side of the cone. We are inside the cone. That is where the center could track. But again, like I said, impacts extend well beyond the cone. I cannot stress that enough. Yeah,
I mean, I've heard basically Tampa St. Pete, they're going to get a couple of feeder bands. They're not going to get what we're going to get here, but they're going to get a couple of feeder bands. But they're looking at, for that area, catastrophic storm surge.
Right, and I was gonna pivot into that. So
sorry, I didn't mean to
it's
jump
okay.
ahead
I'm glad
there,
you brought that up. No, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good segue. If I can find it, because I am blind. Also, here it is.
Here you go.
Peak surge. Check this out. The center of the storm.
This is scary as hell, by the way.
Right. The center of the storm is going to be here. Well, check out what's across Appalachia Bay near the Suwannee River. Cedar Key's like right here. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Cedar Key, but Cedar Key is essentially a marsh island out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. They flood in a thunderstorm, and they could get 20 feet of water. Like, I cannot stress enough how deadly 20 feet of water is. So if you're watching this, if you're one of the people watching this and you live in this purple shade, even in the red, and if you've been given an evacuation order, you need to leave. You need to leave right now. 20 feet of storm surge, you cannot survive.
I mean, you're talking, you mentioned before we went on the air, this is only comparable to like Katrina and Camille.
Right, for the storm surge, right. You don't
right.
see those levels often. I mean, you could probably go into your bag and find other storms maybe that were comparable. Maybe Hugo in 1989. Michael had 17 feet of storm surge out in Mexico Beach. Ian brought, Ian brought, I think, 12 feet of storm surge. I could be wrong. There's a video by a storm chaser named Max Olson. He's also an insurance adjuster, but he goes and storm chases. There's a video that you can find on YouTube. It's called Hurricane Ian Storm Surge or something like that, and you can watch it. What he does is before storms hit, he sets up this box, and it's got like a camera inside of it, and he'll set it up high enough to where the storm surge won't hit it, but it gives you a good time lapse. There's a video, and you can watch the full version, which is 9 hours long, or you can watch the condensed version. Well, anyway, you see the Gulf of Mexico come in Fort Myers Beach. It comes in, and you're like, okay, surely it can't go higher. And it goes higher, and then it goes higher, and then it goes higher, and then it knocks a house off the foundation. Well, you see in the video, somebody's inside that house. Somebody is inside the house that gets knocked off the foundation by the storm surge. He actually interviews the guy in his video. But don't mess around with storm surge. I actually got trapped during Hurricane Beryl, storm chasing that.
This is earlier this year.
Yeah, earlier this year, right? July 2024. A couple of famous storm chasers and we had the same idea to go to the same place, Sargent, Texas, and we wrote it out there. And
we can give positive shout outs. I know I like set the barrier there at the beginning. Like when we're talking like negatives, we won't mention anybody in that light, but we can give positive shout outs.
Yeah. So Mike's weather page, everybody knows him. Him and I, we were in the same place. We were in Sargent, Texas. Reed Timmer was there. Everybody knows Reed Timmer. We were all stuck. Actually, for those who know Reed and know storm chasing, he calls himself the extreme meteorologist. And so he always pushes the limits, pushes the bounds. The road was completely flooded. And so, this guy will stay up for 48 hours at a time and just chase storms all the way across the country. We're trapped behind this flow of water. And eventually he's like, look, I got to get ready to chase this tornado threat. And then he just plows through the storm surge in his truck in the middle of the road. And everybody's just sitting here like, yep, that's Reed. But it was really cool. And then, but Reed Timmer was there. Anyway, all that to say, storm surge is terrible. Looking at some of the comments here.
Yeah, feel free anytime. Kyle Morris, is that heading east or west off I-10? Or is that just... Yeah, I'm sure it probably doesn't. I'm sure it's probably heading west. Yeah,
everybody getting out of town, and then the storm surge. And so Matt, really, storm surge really didn't get New Orleans, believe it or not. What it was the levee broke, and so it wasn't a lot of storm surge from the Gulf per se, more than it was flooding from Lake Pontchartrain. But yeah, no, I mean you're definitely onto something. But if you take a look at New Orleans, I could probably pull it up on a map.
I'll give you a second to pull it up before I put you over.
Yeah. I want to comment on what Matt said because that is a really good point.
By the way, Shelby, while he's searching, my sister Shelby, I will text it to you as soon as the show's over. I got your message. It's unread, so I'll remember because ADHD. So I will text over that information to you as soon as we're done here tonight. Also, thank you, everybody. If you're in the comments right now and you haven't hit the share button, you're incorrect.
Why?
You're obviously incorrect.
Why have you not? Yes.
Clearly.
No yeet.
No yeet at all.
No yeet.
No yeet at all.
I used it correctly. Screw you.
Correct. Also, Tyler, I am going to give you an opportunity. You could do it multiple times whenever you want. Any of our friends, you're an insurance adjuster for a certain group. And I should have asked you this before we went on the air. We're flying by the seam of our pants here, though, because I'm terrible at preparation. In all defense, my kneecap did pull a 90-degree angle 6 days ago. So,
sure.
If you want to plug yourself and your insurance group, and you want to give out your any information that you want to give out, feel free to do that tonight. Because that's not the ultimate goal of what we are here tonight, but you got a family to feed too. So
yeah, no, absolutely, and I'll definitely shout out the name of the company. I do work for Noble Public Adjusting Group, NOBLE, Noble Public Adjusting Group. But we can talk more about that, as we get past, because that's kind of the next step in the process. It's like the first step for everybody. Let's make it through the hurricane.
Right.
And then the next battle after that, oh my God, now I got to fight my insurance company who's supposed to be there and they're not. So that's, nobody wants to deal with that, and that's what we're here to do. But anyway, just talking about what Matt said real quick. New Orleans, they got flooded by the levees, but just maybe 30 miles to the east in Waveland, they had the highest recorded storm surge with Hurricane Katrina. I think it was like 30 feet. And I signed up a lady after Hurricane Ida who lived down in the bio, she would occasionally, Margie King was her name. Shout out Miss Margie if you're watching.
Down there next to Ed Orgeron.
Yeah, she was like, I tell you now, baby, I was here for the storm and the water came up. It was like 30 feet. Her house was built up, it was like really high. And I just remember standing on the porch with this lady who has seen some stuff. Like she saw Camille, she saw Katrina, like she was old school, right? And we're sitting on the porch with her. And she's like, "Yeah, baby." At the heart of it, it was like 30 feet, and the trees are like 30 feet tall. So it's like the water was above the trees. So it's absolutely insane. But yeah, so if you live along the Big Bend and you're watching this, kick rocks, get out of town ASAP. Bay County, as long as we're in the cone, here's what I'll say: I'd rather be wrong and tell you to leave to be on the safe side, and then eventually you hate me for it because I gave you the wrong information, than to say stay, and then for some reason the storm rides the left-hand side of the cone, and we find ourselves inside the eye wall of a major hurricane, which is extremely possible.
I do want to jump ahead a little bit because talking about that right there, obviously, hard respect for the guy. Not going to go by name because this is a negative implication, but we had a local meteorologist online, trusted by many, by millions, go on and say that this storm is not going to hit Panama City in any way. Now, listen, is it going to? Probably not. But 5%, 2% chance is not zero. We talked about this, and this is a perfect segue into that part of the conversation. At least we can segue back, but we're still technically inside the cone. Inside the cone it's the cone of uncertainty. So if you're in that cone, you still have at least a smidge of a shot to take this thing head on. So just be careful, man. Like if you're listening, you're watching, just be careful what you say if people trust you. Because 2% is not zero. 1% is not zero. For instance, there was a like 2.5% chance of the Arizona Diamondbacks making the World Series last year. It's really, dude. Yeah. To put this in a sports term, like that's how else can you put it, man? I mean, if you would have put your money on,
I would have gone with an 90% chance that Florida State makes the playoffs. But I mean,
okay,
that's crazy. Okay. I can't imagine having Brian Kelly as my head coach.
Oh my gosh,
just cope, brother, cope.
We're all in pain here. So anyway, I just wanted to get on that tangent for a second. So there it is, Matt Seedorf commenting. By the way, I hope that's how you say it.
That's so crazy. Name. I'm so glad he brought that up because that was the example I was going to give. When there's so you have the National Hurricane Center, which does hurricanes, and you also have the Storm Prediction Center, which does storms, right? Like severe storms. So when you're a storm chaser, you look for the Storm Prediction Center, and they're the ones who say slight risk, enhanced risk, etc. They have certain percentages that they issue for tornadoes on certain days. And so like a slight risk of tornadoes could be only a 5% chance. Well, you can go through history and find some big gnarly tornadoes that have formed in a 5% risk day. And it's like, okay, I did not expect that. So same thing, I agree until the town that you're talking about is outside of the cone. Don't say you're not going to get hit because there's a reason we're in the cone. There's a reason the National Hurricane Center puts those cones out. But again, we can dive more into that later. But so Hurricane Helene, it commands our respect. Anything in the Gulf of Mexico this time of year commands our respect. Excuse me. I'll show you here. This is an interactive cone that you can do. This is on the National Hurricane Center website, by the way. It's a warning cone interactive. And you can zoom in, pan out, and you see the black line. The black center line is the official National Hurricane Center forecast track line for Hurricane Helene at this point. We can turn off storm surge warnings, and we'll just turn off warnings. So that way we can get a look at the cities. That's Apalachicola. That's East Point. The line goes right over East Point, essentially. if it stayed on the center track, there's obviously wobbles, and it goes as far as just outside Perry. To put it into perspective, at this moment, and this could change at the 10 o'clock advisory, there's this big emphasis on Perry. Perry is technically outside of the cone. Panama City technically has more of a risk, statistically, being in the cone, to get a direct impact than Perry does. So that's why it's important not to focus on the center of the cone. Perry is not in the cone at all, and they're gonna get mollywopped.
They're gonna get smoked.
They're gonna get
for like
smoked.
the third time in 2 years.
Right,
by the way.
unprecedented. I'd storm chased both of those storms. Adalia, when Adalia hit, that was like a summertime thunderstorm. There were a couple intense parts in the eye wall, but it wasn't bad. Debbie was just a Debbie Downer, man. But, it did damage to some folks, But from a storm chasing perspective, it was like, man, I didn't really like that. It was kind of lame. But it's not lame for the people who live there, the people who go through that, and the people who are still cleaning up after Adalia.
We when we came back from Wild Adventures, we ended up having to take some detours because this was right after Debbie hit. We went to Wild Adventures, and heading out, like you could see some of the impacts, especially on I-10 heading west. Once we got on I-10 coming back, we had to get off the interstate and do some like back road detours, and it was like PTSD, man. You were seeing Michael all over again, and these people are not. If Panama City is considered low income, Perry would be considered. I'm not going to use the word poverty, but if you're comparing the two, then Perry
Right.
is a lower income class than Panama City. So you could look around and you could see people. It was really it was scary, man. And it was like when I was in the group chat with my buddies a couple of days ago, and I'm sorry if this riles anybody up, but when this thing first started to kind of make its way toward, like, if once this thing started to get forecasted to come up into the Panhandle or into the Big Bend of any kind, I told my buddies, I'm like, look, y'all might not want to hear this, but we're kind of better suited at this point in our recovery to take a storm than somebody like Perry is head on. And that's hard to hear. It really is, because we are still recovering from one of the most catastrophic storms to ever make landfall in the United States.
Right.
But, from an unselfish standpoint, that's where I was with it. So enough about me just spewing off nonsense.
No, you bring up some good points, man. I was actually driving by on your way here. Like, I'm sure we all drive Business 98 at some point. You see,
You're going to want to do that tonight. You going home, you're going to want to do that. Going back.
You see the old used to be the old Save-A-Lot over there by East Avenue in Business 98 by a nightclub establishment that I won't name. That I think we're all familiar with.
I got itchy talking about it.
Exactly. But if you look at that place got wrecked during Michael, and it looks the same now 6 years later than it did the day after the storm. So, like, Category 5, you'll know that it hit, and it's really sad because somebody brought this up after Hurricane Laura that hit Cameron, Louisiana in 2020. There were a lot of people that were saying, hey, pray for Cameron. They're going to get wiped off the map. They're not going to exist anymore. And it was true. They were staring down the barrel of a potentially Category 5 hurricane. It could have been nasty. And it still was. It still was a Category 4 right at the high end. But somebody tweeted out, or they put it on Facebook, they did something, they said something along the lines of, hey, I know that this town's going to be damaged and all that stuff, but try to refrain from saying stuff like their town's going to get wiped off the map, because these people are about to go through a life-changing event, and they don't need to be seeing that kind of negativity. So I kind of take that with me now. And so I definitely don't want to back out on that rule here, but Larnark Village, East Point, Carabel, Alligator Point,
Life-changing.
These places could be memories, man. And I
Life-altering.
hate that. Yes, it's life-altering. And Ross Whitley said it best. He said, Franklin County is about to go through a life-changing event. And like that's as cold and as clear-cut as you can put it. For those who went through Michael, no, Michael was a life-changing event. Who knows? This storm may not never, Jesus, what an idiot. It may never get to
Double
Category 5.
entendres.
Yeah, double entendre, exactly. It may never make it to Category 5 intensity, but, you know, it's going to be their storm, you know what I mean? So just pray for those folks along the coast, man. I mean, it's going to be a rough 24 hours, you know, watching this thing. I don't think anybody's going to get any sleep tonight. Everybody's going to be watching their phones, watching for that new update. I know I won't. I'll be on the road tomorrow, headed that way to go storm chase. That's what I do. This will be my 18th hurricane of my career, 4th this year. I haven't had a good night's sleep since before Francine hit. These last 2 weeks have just been, you know, back to back. And Francine was nuts too, but this is going to make that look like a, a thunderstorm.
Yeah, it's going to be scary, man. You know, my dad and my brother and my stepmom are here. They evacuated over from Woodville, just north of Wakulla, just south of Tallahassee. And I mean, if you looked at that line earlier, we can even go back to it. Like Leon County, Gulf County, Franklin County, Wakulla County. We talked about all of them, but that line currently takes it like right through my dad's backyard, and it's scary stuff, man. It really is. So
The right-hand side.
yeah, so so he now, like, really the line moved west, which puts him in an even worse spot, right? Like just outside that eastern eye wall, which is that's the danger
And this thing
zone.
this thing could very well shift back to the east just a little bit too. And there's going to come a point where models are out the window, forecasting's out the window. It's going to be nowcasting. We're going to be watching radar trends. We're going to be watching satellite imagery. We're going to be looking at aircraft data. And that's going to kind of be like, okay, the models have pinpointed in on this location. Now we're going to throw those out the window because we're 12 hours away, and we're going to watch radar trends. I'm going to see what the satellite's doing. What is the hurricane hunter saying? And that's kind of what happened with Beryl. And I actually put more miles on my car unnecessarily because I saw a jog in the aircraft hunter, hurricane hunter data. They showed that it was taking like this sharp northeast bend, and then it bounced back, and I had to reposition twice. But that's just how it goes. So, you know, there's going to be an element of nowcasting, but essentially I think we've pretty much narrowed down. If you're inside this cone, there's a likelihood you could be dealing with a catastrophic Category 4 hurricane. Like catastrophic, like you use words like catastrophic to describe certain events. Michael was catastrophic. Ian was catastrophic, right? 130 mile an hour. Nobody knows what 130 mile an hour winds does until they're there, until they see it, right? So I hope those that are watching that are along the line, let's say you're watching this in Tallahassee. If for somehow this gets you in Tallahassee and you're watching this, consider leaving, my friends. I know I-10 is probably a parking lot right now, but try to get out of there. You've never been through this before. Tallahassee, in its 150-year history of keeping records, never had a major hurricane.
Yeah, this is, I was going to say that earlier. This is, so as crazy as it is for a city that's really not that far from the coastline. It looks like it on the map, and and once you're there, you don't realize it. But Tallahassee, not as far from the coastline as people think, right? So this is uncharted territory for those people, for those infrastructures. They aren't made for this. They're not ready for this. And as crazy as it is, man, that's a college town that's really is built with cracker dust. Is the way we talk over there, man. It's
Right.
It's not you got the serious construction going on at Doak Campbell right now. There's a lot of construction in Tallahassee, and it's going to be. They've had more blizzards than hurricanes in Tallahassee. Shout out to Matt Seedorf. Dude, that's insane right there. So this dude, I've never met this dude in person, Matt Seedorf. We became friends by trolling wrestling fans.
Awesome.
Like, believe it or not. Like, so we would talk shit to, like, we call them marks, right? So we call them We Hate Marks was the name of our group chat. And our entire group chat was based on making fun of people that were like basically bashing anything that they're in the wrestling world. When they were like, "Oh, John Cena's not putting people over," we're like, "Shut up!"
Shout out Patrick Super.
Shout out Peace Soup. Yes. No, but shout out to Matt, man. Never met him. We've kept contact through all this years. He's a
Yeah.
liberal son of a, but I love him. I love you. My favorite liberal, bro.
We
one
love
of
it.
One of my favorite
We love
libs
it.
in the world.
Yeah,
It's just proof that political views don't mean anything.
Oh,
What you
good.
got over there?
I'm just waiting on his. Oh, just negative Nancy's. I was waiting on his response whenever you said he was a freaking liberal and he was your favorite liberal. I'm waiting on his comments.
Oh man, yay for communism, right?
There you go, baby. Oh, all right. So let's talk Bay County. Let's talk current track. Everything stays the way it is. This thing hits where they say it's going to hit. Effects for Bay County. What are we? Because we've seen some people saying we're going to get 20-mile-an-hour winds. We're going to get a bunch of rain, Like we're going to get dumped on by rain. But
It gonna rain.
what kind of effects are we expecting with the current forecast here? Let's just go from Highway 79 because that's where Drew lives, and west over here to Callaway.
Yeah, so assuming that the storm takes the center line, does everything it's supposed to do, tropical storm conditions would be expected. Tropical storm conditions are anywhere from 50 to 73 mile an hour. And then hurricane conditions are possible, and that's 74 plus. So
Sustained, by the way.
yeah, sustained, right. So the National Weather Service, which is the government authority on weather forecasting, when you go to their website and you click Panama City, you read their forecast, it says tropical storm conditions possible, hurricane conditions also possible, but we're under a tropical storm warning. So under a tropical storm warning in Bay County, you have to assume, hey, we could get tropical storm conditions are expected in the warning area, right? And then there's that possibility of hurricane force conditions. So 25, 40 sustained, could be a little higher. Gusts could hit 50, 60 plus, assuming that the storm follows the center line, that it does. And then, of course, there's the variables if it don't. The rain, man. I think that's going to be it.
She's a rainmaker.
Yeah, there's a lot of atmospheric processes happening too, like with the trough setting up that's going to enhance the rainfall. So flooding could be a big concern, like flash flooding and things like that.
The ground is extremely wet here. We've had a bunch of rain in the last
yeah.
couple of weeks.
And that's what's concerning too. Like even tropical storm force winds, when the ground is saturated, those trees are just going to fall over. Like you could blow on a tree and it would fall over. So power outages are a big deal. People who live in mobile homes, like I tell people who live in mobile homes, try to find sturdy structure for the night, especially if you're surrounded by pine trees. And that's just it's a big thing because that tropical storm conditions are enough to do damage to your home, and they're enough to knock over trees and not cause power outages.
Especially to circle back to earlier, and Drew, I feel like you're not talking at all, but I think Drew just kind of soaks in knowledge. He did the same thing when we did our church episode. But to just kind of circle back to recovering from Hurricane Michael, especially like if your home still has tarp on it, if your roof's not completely repaired, if you still have trees in your yard, which I just got rid of a couple months ago, like those things are fragile at this point. We had a routine storm go through in early June, I think it was, that knocked a tree down right here in my backyard. Thank God it fell away, because if it fell this way, it was going to fall right into the studio. And we've got thousands of dollars of equipment in here. Scary stuff, man. So if you, I feel like people are on social media making people feel bad about their decisions to get the hell out of Dodge. Listen, man, businesses are closed, schools are closed. If you have the financial means and you're uncomfortable being around, like if you PTSD is real. PTSD is very real. You talked about it going back to, you were in New Orleans during Katrina.
Yeah.
He left, but you go back and you see that. I left during Michael. I came back and I saw my hometown decimated. It's damaging. PTSD is real. If you were here and wrote it out, dude, stop. So first of all, stop talking bad about people that are making those decisions. Stop talking bad about people that are preparing, and just let them live their life, man. And if you're one of those people, dude, if you have the financial means, if you have the ability to get the hell out of town, do it for a couple days. Treat it as a little mini vacation. Try to relax.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I tell people. That's what I tell people to do, man. You do what's best for your family, right? Especially like a lot of people, they have young kids. They have like elderly relatives. You know, you never know what's going to happen in these things, man. You know, they're all, you can have all the fancy science and technology in the world, man, but you don't know until it happens, right? So you don't want to be caught off guard. And if you're sensitive to, you know, to power outages or things like that, like just put yourself out of harm's way. It's just not worth it at this point if you have the means to go. You know, like I said, and I will shout this from the mountaintops. I would much rather you leave and have nothing happen than you stay and something does happen. You know what I'm saying? So like that's where I'm at with it.
What's the classic? You could spin it with the classic take, right? It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right?
Exactly.
So, hey, by the way, if you guys are watching, listening, if you have any questions, ask, because Josh Mitchell just brought up another situation. Like
They're completely random. The tornadoes are completely random.
Yeah.
So, for someone who doesn't know a lot about meteorology,
Still in there.
Obviously, I know what causes a tornado and all that. How does it affect it? Like it's sustaining. How is it random? Because normally you see the funnel clouds and you see all that, and it can just be random in a hurricane.
Yeah. So
if that's too broad of a question,
no, I know where you're going with it. A lot of it has to do with external factors like the background wind shear. So the atmosphere is a profile, right? The atmosphere is just not the air we breathe at this level. The atmosphere extends high up into the sky, right? And so at each certain level of the atmosphere, or the troposphere, really, that's the area that we live, the troposphere, troposphere, whoever you ask, they'll tell you a different name, but
Trumposphere.
yeah, the troposphere, that's where we live, the troposphere, that's right.
I thought that was out in Vegas.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
No, but no. So at certain levels, the winds blow a different direction, and so at the surface you may have winds coming out of the south, but 5,000 feet up you have winds that are coming out of the southwest or maybe out of the west, and so you get that shear, and so you have vorticity, you have stretching of the atmosphere in the thunderstorms that develop in the rain bands, and then this may be a little bit beyond my understanding, but basically the rotational forces inside of a hurricane mixed with the shear can lead to that increase in tornado development. And then you factor in things like maybe drier air trying to filter into the storm. You get a dry slot that develops, and there's a lot of background processes that have to happen for a tornado to form, and it could just find itself a little easier inside of a hurricane. So it's not like you can look at you can look at the setup and you can say, okay, a tornado can happen because of these ingredients, but you have to look at the actual cells as they're happening to actually, predict it and to look and see. And they just move so quick that by the time you issue a tornado warning, it's probably already gone.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answered your question.
It's so, with them being this unpredictable, Bay County has a real tornado problem. We get random storms all the time that'll pop off 5 to 7, and it's not uncommon. There's got to be a tornado risk even here on the left side of the storm, right?
Not really. So Christopher E. has brought it up. Yeah, forget you, Kyle. How dare you say something stupid like that?
Chris Eads.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a novice. Not even a novice. I would even
Chris-
go as far to say I'm an idiot.
I said Chris Eads. What a dummy.
Eads.
Chris Eads. Sorry about that, buddy. Listen, no, so they do happen more on the right-hand side than they do on the left. That's exactly right. That's the upshear side of the storm. So you have the upshear side, obviously, moving up, and then you have the downshear side, which is wrapping around the storm. So the right-hand side, that's where you see that more. So Josh brought up tornadoes, that's going to be huge in Bay County. I would say no, not really, but you are right. They are random, and any rain bands that come through, especially as the system is to our south, definitely need to watch it. And Matt said they appear in the northeast quadrant too, right? So the right-hand side, that encompasses the northeast and the southeast quadrants. So you guys remember those quadrant grids that we did in school. Like you take the 2 lines and you draw a box in each hand side.
I was asleep.
Yeah, same. You can do the same thing with a hurricane and get it into 4 different sections. The northeast and the southeast sections are always the worst, when it comes to the type of impacts that you see. Thankfully, in this case, assuming the storm follows the center line, we'll be on the left-hand side. So things like tornadoes aren't really going to be that big of a deal, at least in this particular storm.
Right. Well, it's good. If you have any other questions, please. If you, I just asked this, what we'll call is a stupid question, but there's no such thing, man. Like, listen.
No, I'm the one who asked the stupid question.
No, you're good, Drew. You're good. Also, Shelby Wright, or Shelby Ham, excuse me. Excuse the hell out of me.
Welcomed me to the podcast. I have a question for Drew Gorman. I got to get him going. Where does he feel the hurricane is going to make landfall?
Give us the Drew Gorman model.
It's going to hit Tallahassee.
Sorry, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Direct landfall. It's going to do a little hopscotch.
Yeah, direct landfall to Atlanta.
Absolutely.
That's the KW model.
Like an airplane.
I did the Keller Williams model.
No free ads.
No free ads.
Not sponsored.
I did ask Michaela when earlier in the week if what our plan was and where we would go and what our plan of action would be. And I was like, hey, let's go up to Atlanta. The Saints are playing in Atlanta this weekend. And she was like, that's in the direct path. I was like, yeah, but it'll be died down by that point, right?
He's a jackass, bro. He's an idiot. Telling him.
That's the Bobby Bowden special.
Evacuation
Love
tip
that woman.
for all of our friends out there. Evacuation tip, because there's a specific story for this. Always evacuate west. Always evacuate west. You can go as far west as you want.
What, we're not supposed to go to Jacksonville?
Always, no. So Greg Sutton, not in the chat tonight, has been the last couple of weeks. Greg Sutton, great friend of mine. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's been living down here for about 10 years now. Love Greg to death. He lived west of Highway 79 for Hurricane Michael. Like when Hurricane Michael was coming into town, where would you think that somebody that lived on the west end of PCB, like if you lived on the west end of PCB, which you do, let's give your direct address here, billing address.
And my social security?
Yeah, and just the first 16 digits of your card.
Right.
Okay. My wallet's out in the truck. My bad.
You're Gucci. You're good.
Darn.
It's unlocked, by the way. 733 Georgia. All right. All right.
How do you know it's unlocked?
I just know you, Drew.
Damn.
Sorry, golly, I forgot where I was going. Okay, no. So if you lived on the west end of Panama City Beach and you thought a hurricane was coming directly for your area, where would you evacuate? Because I would have gone to like Biloxi. Right? So it's 2.5 hours west. It would take a significant jump west for me to still be affected there. I would go to Biloxi.
No.
Where would you go? New Orleans. Okay.
Maybe Nashville.
Solid
Okay.
choice.
Would you go to the fucking Red Roof Inn in Panama City, Florida, right by the Panama City Mall?
He left the West End to Panama City.
Greg Sutton, loving to death, drove into the store and rode it out at the Red Roof Inn in Panama City. Went from maybe 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds out in the west end of PCB, damn near not even Bay County anymore, came into the heart of the storm and made the decision, I'll never stay for another one. Bro, if you had stayed home, you wouldn't have stayed for the last one. When he told me where he was going, I'm like in Destin, the Red Roof Inn, like in Fort Walton Beach. He's like, no, right over by the mall, formerly known as the mall. Sorry, I know I asked you before we went on the air, and I still dropped an F-bomb. I apologize. But I mean, good God, man, the Red Roof Inn. We're not talking no free ads, but we're not talking the Hilton. We're not talking the Sheraton at Bay Point. We are talking the Red Roof Inn, which is like you can still pay cash at the Red Roof Inn, bro.
Not even the La Quinta.
Not even the La Quinta.
Dude, not even.
It's not even Wyndham. Bro, you can still pay cash at the Red Roof Inn. You can still go on Highway 98, pick you up a little, a little temporary piece, and take it to the Red Roof Inn.
You know what we refer to the Red Roof Inn in the Gorman household?
What is it?
The Red Roofie Inn.
The Red Roofie Inn.
Absolutely.
My little brother took a trip with mom and dad one summer, and they had gone up to Indianapolis. And during that time frame, I was with my grandparents. Well, on the way up there, leaving Louisiana to go all the way to Indianapolis, you're probably going to stop halfway along the way. You can stop and get a night in a hotel. Well, they stop at a Red Roof Inn, and they walk in, and this place is crawling with little temporary pieces and little people it's just, oh my goodness, all over the place. There were roaches. There were people.
In St. Louis, he said?
No, I don't remember exactly where.
They were on their way there.
But they were on their
Okay.
way to Indianapolis.
Gotcha.
And it was just...
St. Louis.
Or Cincinnati.
Sorry,
But,
Josh Tucker. Love you.
Those
but,
Yankee towns, man.
But there were roaches in the room. There were temporary pieces in the lobby. Like just walking around in the lobby.
Temporary pieces is the new tagline.
And we don't mean construction.
But it was just like they came back and they were like, we are never stopping at a Red Roof Inn anymore. And I was like, what is a Red Roof Inn? I had never seen one. And they were like, we call it the Red Roofie Inn. And I was just like, what?
Red Roofian. You Red Roofian.
Thank God we have nothing to sue for, bro. That's all I'm saying. By the way, tonight's episode brought to you by Hilton. Awesome. Golly.
Josh, if you're still here, buddy, I want to answer your question.
Josh Mitchell's question.
He asked, I know I'm asking a few questions, but is it possible that the hurricane can still shift east or west? And the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. And so, Kyle, can we switch to...
Yeah, no, absolutely. Get in there.
Let's go to monitor 4, please.
Monitor 4.
We're going to take a look at this here.
Over there on the southeast
Yes.
computer screen.
No, but seriously.
Southeast computer.
The Southeast computer screen. Yeah. I walked into this place. I was like, what in the low budget basement? No, I'm just kidding.
Damn right. Not even in a basement.
Not even in a basement. Yeah.
But hot damn.
Spare bedroom, so no roommates allowed here, guys.
Hey, Billy Napier said I can call it my house.
Ooh, Nape.
Yeah. All right, but anyway, if you look at the
damn, it
cone,
works.
Josh, right here on what I'm showing to you, inside of that cone realistically is where the center could go. So shifts inside of this cone could very well happen, and they could occur outside of the cone. I do not anticipate a shift, further west than this line here. The odds of it shifting past that point are pretty much non-existent. However, shifts outside of the cone to the east are very possible, and it's all going to depend on this. And we can actually walk through this real quick. This won't take very long. I know we got things to do, but
I was gonna say we're coming up on time. We might have to revisit the social media conversation for another time that you come on, because that one I feel like is gonna take a little bit longer.
oh, I love it.
I've got another question after this, and
Yeah.
it kind of ties in with this as well.
All right, well there you go. We're tied up for the night.
Pulled up.
So tongs down. No yeet.
So we're watching this here.
What is
This
this?
is the 500 millibar heights. So this is where you see your mid-level and upper-level atmospheric features. So remember how a while ago I was telling you guys that the atmosphere is like it's a profile. It's not just at the surface. So 500 millibars, maybe 10,000 feet up in the air, this is going on above your head. So there's a giant ridge of high pressure over the Rocky Mountain region.
I just want to make you aware, all of tonight is going on above my head.
I got you. I'll let me see what I can do. I know that Louisiana school system, they aren't the best.
He's
got-
worse. This
we-
is from Tennessee.
We
bro.
we got the 3 R's.
Yeah.
Reading, writing, and arithmetic, baby.
Boy, I thought he was gonna drop the R word like on this podcast.
I was puckering, man.
Yeah,
No,
I was
that-
like, wow, thank God we're off camera.
Oh my
no,
god.
we reserved that for Ezra.
Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
Oh my goodness, Joshua, sir, if you're still in here, what I'll show you what the main determining factor is. This cutoff low right here. You see this big blue circle over the Ohio Valley near Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, like the Ohio Valley right here. that is what is influencing the eventual direction of the storm. So
I'm paying attention.
no, it's all right, dude. It's okay. And so if we play this forward, I think this is at 6 hours. So if we look at it right now, this is the analysis. This is what is actually being seen in the atmosphere by actual observational data, right? And it gets plugged into the model. So this is the analysis. We play it forward 6 hours. What you're looking at here, you're looking at the ejection of this cutoff low. The ejection essentially means it's being shot down towards the southeast. So without getting lost in the weeds of like major scale meteorology, like large overview, you have high pressures, low pressures, you have jet streams and stuff like that. So you have the jet stream that goes over the northern part of the country. These cutoff lows can get separated from the jet stream and kind of pinch off and dip to the south, and that's what's happening here. This is anomaly. This is an anomaly for this time of year. This is the type of pattern you see in the wintertime typically. So if this would happen in wintertime, there's a chance we're talking about snow possibly. This is a crazy pattern. So what's going to happen is this trough is going to eject south, and as you see, by the time we're approaching landfall, maybe just outside landfall, the trough is now centraled over western Tennessee, perhaps northern Mississippi. Notice what happens when we play it forward. It slingshots up into the Big Bend around this cutoff low. And so this is the main steering flow. If this cutoff low, let's say, evolves to not move as fast, let's say if 12 hours from now it's still back here, or it's down here, or it's up here, and it's not in this location, Helene will not feel the influence of that cutoff low as much, and that'll allow a further north track before the bend eventually happens, that turn to the right. So the cutoff low is going to be an imperative feature going forward over the next 12 hours. Then we can take it a step further, and we can look at a mesoscale view. A mesoscale view is just a couple hundred miles. So these are the hurricane models. And we can go to the HAFS B. We'll turn this off. This is cyclonic vorticity and things like that. Real technical nerd stuff.
There you go, Christopher Eads. That's why we're doing this, bro. We're learning too. That he says that this is such a good visual representation. Never knew of it. This was really my primary goal tonight, was for people, obviously, like for this storm, but just for the future, to know what to look for, and basically so like when you see these people that are fear-mongering on social media, you kind of know, like you can have some of the tools to go and fact-check these things for yourself and be able to help educate your friends, because I've embraced like a little bit of a basic knowledge to where like I've been in your inbox for the last 5 or 6 days like, hey, this guy's bullshit, right? And you're like, yeah, this guy's bullshit, right? And you're like, not really. And I'm like, okay, well, so I'm starting to learn more and more about this. So I just wanted to like make sure that people can look at these things and understand at least a basic level of the knowledge of the process that goes into keeping an eye on these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll finish. How much time do we got?
I don't have a hard break coming up or nothing. But I would say we usually try to cut it the hour and a half, and we still do got to make picks.
Okay, so when's the hour and a half mark? Is that 8:30?
We're at 1:10. So we got 20 minutes technically.
I'll blow through this real quick.
I'm unemployed, so if we go 10, 15 minutes over, it's not going to kill me.
No problem. I'll blow through this real quick.
I got hurricane prep I got to get to.
So there you go. And I'm sure we're going to chat it up with Pops for a few minutes.
That's a solid call to do that at night. What MLG decision.
He did work all day.
No, I know, dude. I'm just
shout out to his employer.
Yeah, right.
Walton County Elite.
Oh, man. But no, you can take it a step further, and then you can look at it at the mesoscale, which kind of gives you a closer overlook. And so these hurricane models are specifically built to look at the structural integrity of the storm. They focus on all the small-scale processes that larger models like the GFS and the Euro can't see. And so the computer models, it's real interesting. It's not just, hey, somebody's going to plug in some information and it's going to spit out an outcome. There's a lot of hardcore, crazy calculus that goes into this. Like, equations that kept me from being a meteorologist. Like the amount of calculus that goes into this is insane. So there's a lot of hardcore math going on behind the scenes, and it can pick up, processes and things. So when you look at it here, this is the HAFS B. So there's four models. I honestly forgot what HAFS stands for. I know the HWRF, that was a big thing with Michael. That's Hurricane Weather Research and Forecasting. The HWRF was a model that picked up on Michael. And you got the HMON, and then you got the two HAFS. So the two HAFS models, well, that's technical. We won't look at that. But as the storm gets, let's call it here, is there an eye wall replacement cycle that occurs that affects intensity? Is there some kind of synoptic scale pattern that we're not seeing in the atmosphere that maybe causes a nudge, a little bend to the left or a little bend to the right? Does the actual vorticity of the storm itself, does the actual spin of the hurricane itself cause it to wobble off its axis? That can happen in strong hurricanes that are rotating real fast. So think of a spinning top. Like if you spin a spinning top, you see the top itself, it's spinning, right? Like going really fast, but then it actually it does another circle also. So you got the spinning top that spins like this, but while it's spinning like this, it's doing like that, right? Like it's kind of hard to do a visual representation without it, but same kind of process. It can cause it to wobble. And so this is just one prediction. This is the HAFS B.
This is all tropicaltidbits.com, by the way.
Yes,
readily available.
Shout out Dr. Levi Cowan. This dude makes this stuff available for me and you and anyone to use for free. Dude's a Florida State grad, so there's that goes to show why he's such a good dude and knows what he's talking about. And
highest ranked university in the state of Florida, by the way, for last year, by the way. So
then if you go to his homepage,
23rd overall, but
he does videos every day when there's a storm threatening. Watch this guy. In the videos that I do, I obviously don't rip the guy off because I know what I'm doing too, and I can make my own forecast. But watching his videos kind of go into what I'm doing because this is this dude's a life. And so he knows what he's doing. So check out this website. You can see all kinds of stuff, man. Current storm. I haven't looked at the satellite. Let's see what it's looking like now. That's not what you want to see. That's not what you want to see. Those light white clouds that are just blowing up into the into the top of the troposphere or the Trumposphere as we call it here.
Damn right.
It's going to be huge.
So my question from a minute ago was how often can it shift side to side, and at what point is it kind of on its path and it is what it is?
So technically it's never really on its path and it is what it is. So the way that it works, the center of the storm ends up in the center, inside the cone 2 out of 3 times. 1 out of 3 times it does not. It's outside of the cone. Unfortunately, we don't know what is the storm's not going to tell us, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to end up outside the cone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where that nowcasting comes in. That's where you start watching the radar trends and all of that stuff. So shifts happen all the time for whatever reasons that we as scientists, I say we like I'm a scientist, but reasons that scientists and meteorologists and atmospheric scientists, they can't understand them yet because they're so small and they're so subtle that you don't know it's happened until it's happened. For example, an eye wall replacement cycle. An eye wall replacement cycle, they are unpredictable. But what they do, they change the internal integrity and the internal structure of the storm, put strengthening on hold, and it expands the wind field because the storm's getting bigger. You can't predict that, but you can get precursors. You can look at the satellite and say, okay, this looks like it's building a secondary eye wall. But by the time that happens, you just can't predict it.
Sorry, I didn't have it on there at all. People
No,
just
you're
looking at us, staring at you.
Yeah. You're good, dude. But yeah, so this is the infrared. You definitely don't want to see those 2 big convective bursts around the center. It's mixing out that dry air really well. We'll take a look at the visible shortwave, and then we'll end on that. So yeah, there's still some dry air trying to mix in, but you can see the big poofs going up over the last couple of frames. Those are thunderstorms. And all hurricanes are just giant heat engines, steam engines that just take energy from the water. They release it through latent heat release, and then more thunderstorms build and more thunderstorms build as that process continues over and over and over again until it makes landfall and there's no longer any fuel. So for this particular storm, the sky's the limit. Can it shift? 100%. If you live inside the cone, which we'll get a new one in about 2 hours, if you live inside the cone, there's a chance you're going to get hit by this thing. But we'll see what happens at 10 o'clock. We'll see if they shift it. We'll see if they keep it. I thought they were going to expand hurricane warnings, honestly, but they didn't. So, good news in theory, at least for us. But yeah, so I tell you what, if there's not any other questions for weather, which y'all throw them out anytime.
Yeah.
Let's talk some college football, man. Let's brighten the mood a little bit.
Let's do it because we're going to make some picks. But first, before we get there, give you a minute. Florida State, first win of the season. Big FSU fan. Things are looking good here. Lost my job, lost my leg. Florida State got their first win of the season.
That's all it took.
And the Glizzy Boys finished their undefeated season. How are you feeling about the Noles right now, man? Website, by the way, the one we were looking at there, tropicaltidbits.com.
All one word.
All one word. Tropical Tidbits. I'll type it into the comments while Tyler's talking about Florida State.
Yeah, so how does it feel? Well, you ever go to Life Management and just watch some of the people there that are like,
Jesus, we are really hitting that line tonight.
That's kind of what it's like. And
me and David Hayes call it the Blue Top Waffle Shop.
The Blue Top Waffle Shop. That's exactly right. That's awesome. I'll tell you, it's not been fun, but you can ask Kyle 3 weeks ago. I'm not a hater completely of DJ. I think DJ is a decent quarterback. Gasp. Right. I think he's a decent
guys, that's going to be it.
Yeah, he's
I'm
not
just
a,
kidding.
he's
I'm
not
with
a
you.
Florida State fan.
I'm with you.
But if you look at his play, there's flashes of brilliance there, man. Like, dude, he dropped a dime. Like, he dropped a dime on, who was that, Ja'Kai Douglas, who caught that for the touchdown? Like, dude, that's a dot, bro. And then he did that the week before with Malik Benson. Unfortunately, we couldn't convert on that. But
no quarterback on the roster is making those throws. As much as everybody wants to see Brock.
That's the scariest part for me from the outside looking in. If that's what is being played on Saturdays, and everyone's calling, like, granted, I haven't watched a Florida State game in its entirety. I've watched tidbits here and there.
You did yourself a favor.
But
I've lost years off my life.
If this is if that's the product that's being shown on every Saturday, and it's continued to be thrown out there by Norvell, how bad does the backup have to be?
I don't think it's really a bad thing. I think it's just you don't want to ruin anybody's confidence by putting them behind a terrible offensive line. And, I mean, you really, DJ, we thought of him as a bridge gapper, but now he's more of like a sacrificial lamb than he is anything else. But
No, I want to comment on what you said real quick. Like, the product that's on the field, it doesn't just, in my opinion, it doesn't just stop or start with DJ, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, dude, I want to look at the season. Maybe they turn it around, but at least these first 4 games, I want to look at the amount of incomplete passes that he has. And then I want to look at the amount of those incomplete passes that were drops. Like, Kyle Moore drops.
30 to 40% of them, at least.
Dude, like...
Or wrong routes ran by the receivers.
You and I could be out there throwing dots to these dudes, and if they drop them, that's nobody's fault. But the receivers, it's nobody's fault but the receivers. But still, Mike's offense, from what I've seen, it's built for a mobile quarterback. We don't have a mobile quarterback in DJ, but that's fine. He's a pocket guy. If he's got time in a pocket, then he can do some good stuff. But it's been tough, man.
It's like Waffle House on the go. That's what he is essentially. He can get out of the pocket, but it's still greasy.
You see that spin move? Spin move he did?
Yeah, that was nasty though.
Like, dude,
he put that dude on skates.
Imagine if he
and then still got hit for a 2-yard loss.
This is the
put in the spin cycle.
This is the hardest fall off. Jordan Travis to DJU
Stop it.
since Trevor Lawrence
you do
to
it.
DJU.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. All right, fellas. We're going to make some picks. And then we're going to roll out of here. We got some hurricane prep to do. I'm sure we got some not necessarily networking, some interacting to do. Drew hasn't seen my dad in how long? I'm sure there's going to be a conversation held for at least a moment. So
A moment.
try to get this thing on the road here. All right, Friday night game. Virginia, we're 10 college football games, 5 pro games. We're picking basically every game we're picking in the NFL is a primetime because for the second week in a row, we have 2 Monday night football games. So we are picking one from the noon slate as well on Sunday. All right, week 5, Virginia Tech at Miami. Miami being given 19.5 points at home. We are picking against the spread. So I'll start on we'll go clock like this way and then we'll come back that way for the next one. I'm going to go ahead and take Miami to cover the spread here because I really don't want them to. And my picks have gone so poorly this season that if they don't cover, then that's great. Miami has shown some vulnerability over the last couple of weeks. Had the advantage of playing Ball State and USF in back-to-back weeks, but there has been some vulnerability there. Defense hasn't looked great. Offense getting off the slow starts. I think if they do that against Kylan Drones and the Virginia Tech offense, Miami could be not in trouble, but they're not going to cover 19.5. But I'm going to take them to because I don't want them to.
All right, cool. I like that. That's at Hard Rock, right?
It is at Hard Rock.
It's at Hard Rock?
The Dolphin Stadium.
Yeah, the Dolphin Stadium, right? Yeah. They're 4-0 going into this thing. There's a lot of hype around that program. I think we'll turn on the TV on Friday, assuming we still have cable. I bet we'll see a packed out Hard Rock house, and I bet that the stadium's going to be behind them. And I take Miami to cover. I'll take them to cover 19.5.
Okay, Drew.
I will not take them to cover the 19.5. They do win, but Virginia Tech covers.
Okay. All right, number 20, Oklahoma State at number 23, Kansas State. Both teams took a hard loss last week. Kansas State blown out by BYU.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Okay, yeah. What's the spread on that one?
I didn't do the spreads. I only did them. We're only going to pick against the spread on when it's astronomical, like 19 Illinois at 9 Penn State.
Oh, okay. So we're just taking the.
Yeah, this is straight up here.
This is straight up.
Yeah.
Okay. I got Oklahoma State, man. I mean, yeah, they struggled against Arkansas, and Arkansas, really killed their own chances in that game. But Utah coming in there and playing against Utah last week. Mike Gundy, he's got a good squad, and their quarterback, what's his name, Alex Bowman, something like that. I mean that's
like 60 years old.
Yeah, he's like 60 years old.
7th year senior.
Yeah, that dude can sling it. So I mean, give me Oklahoma State.
All right. I'm going to take Kansas State at the house, man. I just have a good feeling about this. I've picked Kansas State the last 3 weeks, and they've either lost or almost lost. So we're going to do it again just to hope that helps Oklahoma State get a win. All right, number 15, Louisville at number 16, Notre Dame. Probably my favorite game of the weekend other than the big one, which obviously we're picking last on this slate. Number 15, Louisville at number 16, Notre Dame. I'm going to take Notre Dame at the house. My confidence in them goes up and down each week. A little down last week, so by the trend, they'll be up this week.
Yeah, I like that pick, but honestly, I'm going to go Louisville here. Louisville, you could say they haven't played anybody, but they are a sneaky good team, man. They are sneaky good, and Notre Dame, you just don't know what you're going to get week in and week out. There's not really any elite pieces on that team. They're great, but they're not elite. I think Louisville has some playmakers that can really get it done.
You hit the nail on the head talking about Notre Dame. There's no elite pieces on either side of the ball. You just never know what you're going to get. Shout out AG. I'm going to go Louisville.
All right, fair enough. All right, going to the next game here. Number 21, Oklahoma, making the trip to Jordan-Hare to play the Auburn Tigers. Another sneaky good game this weekend. Oklahoma obviously took the loss last week to Tennessee at home. Tennessee struggled a little bit at the beginning, ended up handling business. Really bad quarterback play from Oklahoma. Oklahoma will have a new quarterback going into this game. Jackson Arnold has been benched. But Auburn has not done a great job defending Jordan-Hare this season, already losing to Arkansas and Cal at the house. So, go ahead.
The first SEC season for Oklahoma is going to be a tough one. I think they've got enough firepower to win this game against Auburn, but I'm gonna take the Tigers here. I think they're gonna look at Oklahoma as kind of, oh, you're the new kid on the block. You can't win here.
Right.
Yeah, I like that pick. I don't know if I would put Oklahoma in wounded animal mode yet, but you lost to Tennessee. Tennessee is a great program. They are not bad. So to suffer a loss and then to kind of get your QB situation maybe kind of figured out in the fourth quarter, that you got a good chance. But Tigers at home, I mean, this is kind of a do or die thing for them. I got to take Auburn here. I think they find a way to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that sentiment, man. This is a must-win for Hugh Freeze at home. You cannot start 0-3 at home with your losses, 2 of them being conference losses to what we'll call bottom tier of the conference right now with the Arkansas and Oklahoma, and then also losing to Cal, which is a team that everybody ripped getting into the ACC period. So Hugh Freeze cannot afford to start 0-3 at home with those 3 teams on the slate. So I'll take Auburn as well. All right, number 19, Illinois at number 9, Penn State. Penn State being given 19 points in this game in Happy Valley. I guess I got to start on this one, huh? Man, I'm going to take Illinois to cover. I think Penn State might win a close one late. Illinois has been kind of high-powered on offense this season. Penn State hasn't impressed me yet, so I'm going to take Illinois to cover on the road.
So Penn State's 19.5?
Just 19.
Well, 19. Wow. At Happy Valley.
It's in Happy Valley.
I don't know, man. I think in this one I'm going to take Illinois to cover, but I'll take Penn State to win. I mean, Penn State, yeah, they're a good program, but you've seen what they've done so far this year. I mean, yeah, they blew out who did they play last week that they blew out late?
Mississippi Valley Tech. Probably.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they blew them out late, but Illinois, they got a good squad, man. They got a good team. It's crazy. I'll take them to cover, but Penn State wins.
I love Penn State. I think they're a really good football team, but 19, and in recent years, they have a perpetuity to blow big games like this, to either just straight up lose them or win by a field goal miraculously. And it's just like, where did this come from? So with that being said, I'm gonna echo what you guys said and roll with Illinois to cover. Penn State wins the ball game, but it's not going to be by 19.
It's going to be ugly. Undefeated WASU, Washington State on the road at number 25, Boise State. Future Pac-12 lookout game here. Pac-12 conference game starting in 2026. Boise State heading over there. WASU staying put. Washington State is undefeated right now. Hasn't played a strong schedule, but they are unbeaten. So, Drew.
Boise State and them blue fields. It always does something for me. I'm picking them off of their blue field. It just does something for me. And back to Kellen Moore days. I love the blue fields.
At Boise?
It's at Boise.
Yeah. Give me Wazoo State, man. I mean, give me the Apple Cup winners.
Apple Cup.
Yeah, they've looked very good so far this year. People will say, "Oh, it's just Washington." Well, Washington is just a Power 4 program. You know what I mean? Right. So to get a win over them, in a big rivalry early in the year, I think that momentum carries over, and I think they get it done. Boise's got a good squad, though.
I'm going to take Boise State as well. Can't believe I'm actually saying this. Boise State battling for a college football playoff spot. Memphis got beat by Navy last week. That 12 seed is open right now. Yeah, no, that hurt. When I saw that, I was like, okay. And not to mention Navy put like 50 on them too, so it was hard to see. I'll take Boise State at home here. I think they have one of the best running backs in college football. They've got a damn good coach over there. I think they get it done. All right, number 8, Oregon at UCLA. Oregon being given 25.5 points on the road at UCLA. UCLA last week, LSU pulled away a little bit at the end, but UCLA went in there and hit LSU in the mouth early for the first two and three quarters of the game.
Yes.
So UCLA at home, can they get within 25.5 points of the Oregon Ducks?
At home.
I'm going to say no. I think Oregon is starting to get their feet underneath them a little bit here. I'll probably regret this, but UCLA, it's hard to get up after taking a loss like they did last week to LSU. You put everything you have into a game, and you still end up losing by 2 or 3 scores. I think that's going to be hard to come back from.
Good point. Yeah, give me Oregon plus the points. I like that. You know, at home in Eugene, man. I mean, that's
It's at UCLA.
oh, it's at UCLA.
It's at UCLA.
Yeah.
Doesn't
LA,
matter.
baby.
Doesn't matter. They're still going to cover. Oregon's still going to cover.
I'm taking UCLA with the points. I just think they looked like a damn good football team that went into Tiger Stadium and gave us a run for our money in the first 3 quarters. But still, it comes down to a team like LSU. That was their launching pad. If I could use this as my soapbox for a second, that was our launching pad to take that and say, oh, okay, we got punched in the mouth, and then look what we did. That's our launching pad to go into the next year, next stratosphere. On the UCLA side, I think that's where they take what they felt last week, and they're like, oh, okay, we got another shot at a big time opponent, at a guy at a program that is in the top 10, and we're at home. Give me UCLA with the points all day.
Yeah. All right. So Colorado at UCF. This is another game that is going to be extremely exciting to watch. Hopefully, we have cable and power.
I like what KJ Jefferson's been able to do over at UCF, and old buddy from I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Old buddy from Mosley.
Randy Pittman.
Yeah, shout out Randy Pittman. Shout
out Mosley, by
Give
the
me give me UCF.
All right, Tyler.
Yeah, I like it. UCF, they're one of the top programs in the Big 12, and Colorado. I mean,
We coming.
You want to call it still a rebuild year or a building year, you know, whatever you want to call it. I mean, at the end of the day, UCF, they got a great squad. And when was the last time anybody's ever said, how about KJ Jefferson?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, they got good things going on down there.
UCF is running the hell out of the football this year, and Colorado is terrible at stopping the run. I got to take UCF at home. I think they're wearing the space uniforms this week as well.
Ooh.
Big game.
Lovely.
Big game down there. Oh, there we go. Had to pop that neck. All right, another big game. Huge game for Nebraska. Got to get back on track after taking a heartbreaking loss to Illinois last week. Nebraska at Purdue. I'm going to say that Nebraska gets back on track.
Okay, give me Patty Mahomes and the Cornhuskers.
Why does Patrick Mahomes look so much like that kid?
Oh, okay.
He completely ripped Dylan Raiola's game, bro.
That's
Dude.
the way we're gonna do it. Hey, I need to apologize to Dylan Raiola. Whenever he decommitted from Georgia, and I went on ESPN radio and was calling him. I was like, this guy's gonna be trash. Blah blah blah. He's just doing this for money. Blah blah blah. And now he's gone to Nebraska and lit it up.
Dominated.
So I owe that man an apology. But unfortunately, you're going to lose to Purdue because Purdue is they're bound to beat someone they're not supposed to.
That's fair.
And I'm going to go ahead and take them here.
Every single year. All right, the big game this weekend, fellas. The big one. Number 2, Georgia at number 4, Alabama. Dude, this right here is a showdown. And I want to give you guys a little scenario here where the loser of this game is the winner. Because you think about the SEC, you think about Ole Miss, you think about Texas, you think about Bama, you think about Georgia. Those 4 teams at 10 wins are getting in. If you lose this game, you're probably not going to the SEC championship game. You don't have to play that extra game. You don't have that extra game.
The extra shot at the loss.
You get the extra week of rest now. No, you don't get the bye. But let's look at the history of people having bye weeks in sports. Does that ever go well? So, like, the loser of this game might be the winner. So, with that being said, Drew, Georgia, Bama.
Georgia did not look good against Kentucky. They did just enough to pull it out. This game is at Bryant-Denny. Both teams had a week to prepare. God knows what's up Kalen DeBoer's sleeve because we've only seen, 3 games worth of film on him, and 1 out of the 3 was anywhere near competitive. I'm leaning more towards Bama here.
I like that pick. In Tuscaloosa, give me Alabama. I mean, who's the only team that's beaten Kirby Smart at Georgia? It's been Alabama, and yeah, sure, Nick Saban, and all that, but at the end of the day, man, it's going to be at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I mean, I get your point about the loser of this game is the winner because they get that extra week, and obviously, I don't think those programs are thinking like that. Those boosters in Tuscaloosa, they won an SEC championship. They want to do it big. So, give me Alabama. Georgia's got some questions on defense that I still want to see some answers on. They're good. They're a heck of a squad. Don't get me wrong. It'll be a good game, though. I'm ready to see it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a low scoring, I think the winner's probably going to hang 23-17 kind of game.
Ooh.
Look, man, Jalen Milroe has disappeared in some of the biggest moments. The last time he shined in a big game was against Georgia. Kirby Smart doesn't make the same mistake twice. I think Georgia goes into Tuscaloosa and gets the win.
Okay.
All right. 5 NFL games, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Thursday Night Football, Cowboys at the Giants. I am taking Dallas because, golly, if they start the season 1-3, there will be some big, massive issues in Dallas.
I'm going to stick with the Giants. I think Danny Dimes is finally figuring out what Malik Neighbors is, who he is. He finally introduced himself this past weekend.
Timothy?
Yes. Get that man the ball.
Yeah, I'll go with the Giants. I got Malik Neighbors on my fantasy team, so I need him to take off.
Fair enough. The Cowboys defense has been putrid this year. All right, noon game Sunday. Can't believe this game is on at noon, but there are some big games this weekend. The Eagles at the Bucks.
Eagles threw everything they had and won that game against the Saints at the Saints, flying from Philadelphia to New Orleans, then back to Philadelphia, then back down to Tampa. That's going to be a rough set of flights, and the Bucks didn't look good this past weekend. I think they finally put it together, and Baker's going to figure something out. And I just don't know with the log jam of frequent flyer miles that the Eagles are about to have. I don't know if they're going to have enough gumption to get up and go against the Bucks at noon.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley's playing for the Eagles now, right?
Yeah, he had a 65-yard touchdown run that put the Saints away.
Yeah, dude's a stud. I haven't been watching a lot of NFL.
Actually, it was Dallas Goedert. Yeah, Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert.
60-yard touchdown.
On 3rd and 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my NFL picks, man, they're probably going to be horrendous, but I don't know, man. Just looking at some of the highlights I've seen, though, I kind of like Tampa Bay in this one. They look pretty good, and get Baker Mayfield out of a garbage situation and watch him shine.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. By the way, that's what we do here.
Keep your head up, Bryce.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Eagles, man. Somebody's got to take control of the NFC East. Looks like right now the Buccaneers are the only team that has any interest in, or not the Buccaneers, the Commanders are the only team that seems any somewhat interested in taking full control of that division. But the Eagles, they have the best team on paper. You got to imagine that talent's going to start to gel at some point. This is a big game. Tampa 2-1, Eagles 2-1. Both of these teams need to win, but I think the Eagles get it. Sunday Night Football, Bills at the Ravens. Heck of a game here. The Bills look unstoppable on offense. And yes, the Jags looked really bad, but the Bills looked unstoppable. And they have every game this season. And I think that continues. Baltimore had some defensive woes at the end of that Cowboys game that I think Josh Allen's going to exploit. James Cook running the hell out of the ball this year. I got the Bills.
Yeah, as a Dolphins fan, I found out the hard way multiple times. You never bet against the Bills, man. They just, they always find a way to win. But, Lamar Jackson, not bad for a running back, right? I mean, that guy, he's a heck of an athlete. Is it in Baltimore or is it in Buffalo?
It is in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore. Okay.
And Sunday night, by the way.
Yeah, give me the Ravens at home, prime time. I think they find a way to get it done, but Buffalo is a really good squad.
The Bills are 3-0 right now, and they've won all 3 games in very different fashions, and that's the scariest part. And it's
that's it's a compliment, right? Right.
It's been said on multiple shows before, but it was addition by subtraction losing Stephon Diggs. It was you're fine. Like Josh Allen can drop back, and what I heard Dan Orlovsky say it earlier today. What really separates a good quarterback from a great, even to an elite quarterback, is your favorite receiver is the open one. Yeah. Not just the guy who's always, hey, give me the ball, or who your highest rated player is. It's who's the open guy. And it vary addition by subtraction. So the Bills look very formidable, especially if they keep winning ball games and you have to play in Buffalo late in the season. Ugh, I do not want to see that. Give me Buffalo.
All right. Monday Night Football doubleheader. We'll end on our game here, Tyler. We'll take it home on that one. Seahawks at the Lions. Starting to feel a little pain over here. Let's get through these last two. I'll take the Lions at home to get this one.
Okay. Yeah. No. I like that. They're playing Seattle. Seattle. And I think Dree said they're 3-0 going into this game. You know, I watched that Miami game. Made me want to vomit. They look pretty good, but give me Detroit also.
Muscle City, Detroit. Give it Lions. They're just they know what they're doing up there.
They're debuting their new uniforms this week.
Yeah.
So they're going to be sick.
Awesome.
All right, last game. Tennessee Titans, Monday Night Football on the road. Miami Dolphins at home. Ugh. Is it going to be Tim Boyle? Is it going to be Tyler Huntley? What the hell's going on in South Beach? We don't know as fans. We hope it's Tyler Huntley, though. I'm going to bank on it being Tyler Huntley. I think the Dolphins have to win this game or things are going to start to get ugly. The fan base is going to start to ask questions that deserve to be asked, and Chris Greer's job is going to be on the line. So, which is the GM. So, Dolphins at home because they have to.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt, man. If I pick the Titans, what does that look like? You gotta go Miami here. I agree with you. This is a must-win game. I like Mike McDaniel. A lot of people don't, or I want to say a lot of people don't like him, but a lot of people have their opinions about him. I mean, he's a creative mind, but a creative mind only gets you so far when there's other creative minds that get paid big money to stop your mind.
Right.
You know, you got to find other ways to get the job done. And with Tua being out, I mean, somebody's got to step up.
They got to figure it out at quarterback, man. And if he's going to be out for an extended amount of time, they need to make a trade for I'm not saying that this is going to put him over the top, but go get a Russell Wilson, go get a Jameis Winston, somebody who is on a 1-year contract, get him in ASAP because you're in 2 years of a Super Bowl window here. You have this year and next year, and then it's over. You're starting over. And the Dolphins have got to be serious about this.
I just want to know how long till Tannehill gets a phone call.
Yeet.
God, I thought that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Titans. They've looked pretty good in their recent games, and the Dolphins just, and without Tua, just don't do it for me.
Do it, don't do it.
Do it, don't do it, baby.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. First of all, Tyler, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. This was a great episode. Don't let my pain here at the end make you think that I'm like feeling any type of way about it. I just need to get up and let the blood fall a little bit.
You're good, brother.
But thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, man.
Not a lot of people stuck around till the end, but it's people will go back and watch this. Take this thing seriously. If you're anywhere from Gulf County to Perry, get the hell out. Take it seriously.
Don't play around with it, man, for sure.
If you're in Bay County, keep your eyes open. You never know, man. You really never know. But everybody else, stay safe. Love you guys.
Tongs down.
Tongs down. We'll see you guys next week. Leave it at the table. We'll be back.
Go Noles, baby.
Go Noles. Fins up. Who dat?
Who dat, baby?
Who dat? And
LFG SD, baby. Let's go San Diego.
Hey, go Pods.
Go Padres.
Go Astros.
Clinch the West, baby.
Let's go Reds. Head coach search coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't even get to talk about that. That's a whole different conversation. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Thank you.